Kansas City's Black history has been very influential over the years and has shaped the way Kansas City is today. Not only has it been influential, but Kansas City also has influential people and platforms. Lucile Bluford was the editor and publisher of the Kansas City Call and an activist.
She was phenomenal. She kept it going.
She was very important to the African American newspaper. Lucile Bluford was born July 1st, 1911, and in Salisbury, North Carolina. Later, she and her family moved to Kansas City at 2444 Mongol because her father got a job as a teacher at Lincoln High School, where Lucile attended school as well. Lincoln High School was the only all-black school because Kansas City was segregated at this time. She worked for her school newspaper, was a member of the NAACP, and was a sponsor in the ROTC. She also worked for the Call after school. She graduated class of 1928 from Lincoln High with top honors as valedictorian. In 1939, Lucile Bluford applied to the University of Missouri, which was one of the best schools for journalism. On October 13, 1939, she filed several lawsuits but was denied over and over again. Though her case was closed, she did not stop fighting for equality.
It was racist. It was purely racist. And the excuses that they used to deny her, she paid her tuition, and they sent her the check back and said it wasn't enough students, enough teachers to teach. And what they meant, but they didn't say, they didn't have any teachers that could teach a black person about journalism.
The Kansas City Call was founded in May 1919 by Chester A. Franklin. The first edition of the Kansas City Call, or The Call, was published on May 6, 1919. Lucile Bluford used the Call as a platform for defending her cause and to advocate and bring attention to women and African Americans that struggle for equal rights and encouraging her readers to take action. This also included encouraging readers to donate to the NAACP. The Call was the first African American newspaper admitted to the Alliance for Audited Media. She
brought the side of the story that mainstream media doesn't tell you about or doesn't want to talk about.
In 1955, founding publisher and editor Chester A. Franklin died. Lucile Bluford purchased the paper. Lucile Bluford worked at the Kansas City Call for 70 years. Miss Lucile Harris Bluford died on June 13, 2003 at Baptist Lutheran Medical Center in Kansas City, Missouri at age 91. She used her platform for civil rights movements for women, African Americans, to earn the right for social and economic equality. For women and African Americans to work, earn wages, and do everything that everyone else got to do. Lucile Bluford's influence has shaped the feminist and civil rights movement politically, socially, and economically.
She was phenomenal. If she hadn't have done what she did when she did it, I know that kind of sounds like crazy, but we wouldn't have a newspaper.
In the early 1890s, a plan was put in motion called the Truce Divide, a plan to make the city as segregated as possible. This consisted of segregated neighborhoods and segregated schools. The 18th Divine community began in the early 1890s. It was developed during the segregation era. Since African Americans wanted to be segregated, they created their own community so they could be with their culture and around people they felt safe with and trusted. And it was successful. Their community had everything their people needed, like homes, businesses, schools, jazz music, and more. The 18th Divine District had a Negro League team, the Monarchs. They won their first World Series in 1924. The most well-known players are Jackie Robinson, Satchel Paige, and Ernie Banks. 18th Divine is also the place where jazz and blues were born. Jazz music is very important to Kansas City. There were nightclubs that played jazz music on 18th Street. The most well-known Kansas City jazz artists are Charlie Parker, aka Yardbird, Benny Moten, Louis Armstrong, Count Basie, and Ella Fitzgerald.
In Kansas City, it's always evolving. It's always coming up with new historical points and facts and all the things that go along with that.
Lucile Bluford's legacy still continues. The Kansas City Public Library, Lucile H. Bluford Branch Library, is named after Lucile Bluford. The Kansas City Call is still successful to this day and still remains the finest newspaper for the African American community. Segregation in Kansas City has improved but needs more improvement.
Jazz, barbecue. There's so much history here in Kansas City that it's just really, it's nice. That's one of the great things about Kansas City is the black history that's taking place here.
The 18th and Vine District is still successful as well. 18th and Vine still has running businesses and jazz clubs. The Negro League Baseball Museum is located near 18th and Vine, dedicated to Negro League Baseball. Kansas City would not be Kansas City without Black history and Lucile Bluford.